So a few years ago, I actually was asked to give a speech to 2,000 people, actually 2,000 school teachers, if you can imagine how daunting that situation was. And to prepare for this big 90-minute long speech in Edmonton, I was kind of trying to go through my competitive career chronologically and see how I would use my experiences as an athlete to talk to these teachers and try to motivate them. And then I know that their job can be quite repetitive, teaching the same thing each year and not really seeing highlights, you know, just kind of churning away. So I wanted them to feel inspired somehow. In that investigative work through my own amateur career, I was watching my Olympic programs. I didn't realize going into it, but I had never watched 3 out of 4 of my programs when I was the world champion going into the Olympic Games. Thus, I was expected to win. So being number 1 in the world going to the Olympic Games, very exciting. Super, that's where you want to be. Unfortunately for me, my Olympics have never been successful. My first Olympics in '88 was wildly successful. I came 8th, I think it was 8th. And that was amazing, actually. And then I was world champion going into Albertville, and then 2 years later going into Lillehammer, world champion again. The Olympics didn't work out for me. And in preparation for that speech, I had never realized that I had never watched 2 of the short programs and 1 of the long programs, even once. And the other one, I think I'd only watched once. And I didn't realize that I had never done that. And to make a long story short, because I think I can't talk for 90 minutes, I had a theme prepared for that big speech in Edmonton. But after watching myself fumble, tumble, fall, stumble on the biggest sporting stage, I realized that all those emotions back then were coming back. I realized a lot of things. And it was 3 or 4 days of being very unsettled. And it took me a while to process the emotions of what was happening. And so when I got back to writing the speech, after watching myself skate, I had a new theme. I don't even remember the old theme. I changed it to perspective. So that's what I'm going to try to talk about today. If I say something that makes you curious, write it down and please ask me the question afterwards. If I say something that doesn't make sense once or twice, write it down. If it doesn't make sense 3 times, just shut the computer down and go home. It's just me. So we're at a situation now where I'm having to deal with kind of like losing the Olympics twice all over again. And the Albertville competition, I had a bad back, slip discs. 6 weeks before the Olympics, I couldn't even push the clutch down on my truck. I remember they put flippers on my hands and I stood in the water and moved water around in a swimming pool. And that's training for figure skating at the Olympics. I wasn't allowed on the ice. I couldn't skate. And it was a very hard time to try to cross your fingers and hope. So to make a long story short, I went to the Olympics, and even though I kind of was physically a little bit back, I certainly wasn't mentally back, and I wasn't trained. What happened was when I watched the skate, years and years and years later, I didn't see the missed training. I didn't see the injury, and I didn't see the loss of control, loss of training, loss of confidence. I didn't see that. I saw a young, strong-looking man who was in the air straight on his triple axel and just fell. And it was interesting. It was like I'd fallen all over again. The next competition, the next year, I won the world championship, but the next year at the Olympics, I had a terrible short program again. Watching that one was almost worse because, and again, I'm really compressing here. I made a mistake in my warm-up and took a really strange fall, and I allowed that fall to influence me during the competition. This is like novice stuff. This is not the sort of thing that a 4-time world champion does, but I let it happen to me. I wasn't prepared in my warm up, and I let it take advantage. I let it take control. Later on in that same short program, instead of staying focused and staying in the game, literally, I was pouting. My music is playing. The Olympic symbols are on the ice and on the boards behind me. All of the world is watching, and I was pouting. Why me? Why at the Olympic Games did I fall again? Did I offend somebody? The skate gods? Like, why me? And I'm doing that in my head instead of staying focused and doing my job. And in doing so, I had a relatively simple jump at the end of the short program in Lillehammer that was called a double axel, and I singled it. I did 1.5 revolutions instead of 2.5, basically canceling out the element and taking me out of any podium position. So a mistake in the warm-up and a fall, kind of understandable. Checking out and pouting while you're competing, unforgivable. It took me a long time to recover from those 2 Olympic losses, but I had watched other athletes before me stay in that negative spot, stay in that negative place. And I promised myself when I was young, I was like 18 or 19, that I would never do that. It was a good promise that I was able to keep to myself, keep for myself, because even though those Olympics didn't go well, I was able to forgive myself. What I hadn't realized is that I had painted the whole memories different. And by watching them again, I realized how easy it is to go from winner to 10th. Like, so easy. Swimming, I mean, I don't understand how you guys do it, or running, like when it's so close, that would kill me. But I realized that it's that fragile, and that we can't live as humans beyond sport, linking our identities to that moment. We can't do it when we win, we shouldn't, and we shouldn't do it when we lose. Because we are that person at that moment, but we're always evolving and always changing. We can't live in those moments in the past. We have to move forward. So by watching my skates, I realized how close I was to maybe winning. And it hurt. Oh, it hurt all over again. So I had to create yet a new perspective. So yes, I was injured. And yes, I actually had retired before the last Olympics and kind of got talked into going. I had created a world where it kind of wasn't my fault, something that was easier for me to identify with. And by watching them again, I realized I needed to own a little bit more responsibility for that. It was like opening an old wound. So the journey of forgiveness kind of had to happen twice. And by forgiveness, I mean, come on, it's sports, but it's big time sports, and it's supposed to go perfect, but nowhere in the script does it say, just because you've worked hard and you won worlds, you're going to win the Olympics. That's just not how sport works. It's why it's so darn exciting for us competing and for everyone watching. So perspective, I think that it's constantly changing, and it felt good actually to realize that that it was okay to use those tools to move past it back then, but that now it was time for a new perspective of what myself as a young man had actually done. It's never changing. It's ongoing. It's like house maintenance, especially because we're all stuck at home. We're all cleaning and purging and fixing. House maintenance goes on and on and on. And so does changing and adapting to a new perspective. That speech actually helped me identify better to who I was as an older athlete and person. And I think trying to keep perspective about your sports, about your training, about your abilities, reality of competition success, all those perspectives, you need to step back every once in a while. If you're this close, you can't really see it. You've got to step back to see the bigger picture. And I think that trying to keep perspective is really important. Here's the thing, we're going to fail. We're all going to fail at doing exactly what I just told you to do, because we're too emotional. We're people. We're human. We hear somebody say something and we run with it. The media writes something and we go with that. Just before the Olympics, the Sun, the newspaper was about me. What's it called? The headline was called "Champ to Chump." And seeing that on the front page of the newspaper was gut-wrenching. So they have a job to do. They have to sell newspapers. And you don't mind it when they write, "Kurt Browning's the champ 3 times in a row." You don't mind that. So you got to take your lumps. And when you are, chump was rough, come on. But when you're the chump, you're the chump. So I guess that's what I kind of hope that we can chat a bit about today is, my message is twofold. Step back and try to keep perspective about life, about relationships, and about sport. And don't assume what others are thinking about you. Don't assume that the people watching you are thinking this or that your competitors are thinking that, because it's not healthy. So that's number one. And the second one is, after any mistake, take time to allow yourself to feel the feelings you have to feel. A loss, a mistake, a regret. Allow them to mature through you and evolve naturally. But don't stay there. Don't stay there. Move past it. And when you feel ready, use those negative feelings, those feelings of remorse, as energy, as fuel for the next step that you're going to take in your life, in your career, in your relationships, or in your sport. And that's kind of it. I mean, we can talk about whatever you guys want, but I think that now, with the world blanketed in this COVID craziness, perspective is super important. Being able to stay on your couch, look around your house, and find ways to motivate yourself. Find reasons to like yourself on the good days and the bad. And so there you have it. Can Fun, awesome. You guys are, just like kind of the saving grace for so many skaters and athletes around the world and around Canada. And I hope today helps somebody out there. At the very least, give you an hour or half an hour of, break in the tedium. So that's kind of my little blaring blast of information, a blast from the past for me and what I learned from it, and hopefully what, a few of you might be able to learn from it too.
Well, thank you, Kurt, so much for sharing that with us. I loved what you said about constantly changing and adapting to that new perspective, especially now at home. We'll open it up to Q&A for everyone who's on the line. If you click on the chat icon at the bottom of your screen, you can type in your questions to Kurt there. Looks like Allison has already kicked it off. Kurt, if I could have you read out the questions before answering, please.
Read it out? Okay, I got to get back to the main screen. I was just visiting with everybody. How do I read it out? What do I do? I can't see anything but beautiful faces.
Are you in speaker mode, or are you in like the Brady Bunch setting right now?
I'm in Brady Bunch. So you want me to go back to something else?
I think if you click
speaker mode.
Chat.
Thing just fell over. All right, high tech stuff here. All right, you want me to read? What do I read? I can see you, Ali. From
Okay.
Sarah Gower. Can you describe your daily, and it went away. My daily routine.
Do you have a chat icon open on your screen, or is it just coming up and disappearing?
It was up on the right-hand side, and it was only half of the question.
Okay, I can read them.
Just read them, because technology and I, we're old adversaries. We don't like each other very much.
Okay, so from Allison Levine, she says, I'm currently ranked #1 in the world in my sport, and to be completely honest, I'm scared of not performing well at the Paralympics and the emotions that would result from that. So thank you for sharing your experience and showing me that even if that happens, I'm still going to live.
Yeah.
More of a statement, she's saying. And then Sarah wants to know, can you describe your daily routine as you self-isolate?
Okay, cool. I'll get around to that. Was it Sarah?
Yes.
Hi, so freaking cool. Awesome. The first year that I took over kind of from Brian Orser, I realized quickly that, well, it took me a whole year, so it wasn't that fast. Brian Orser stepped on the ice and he was really almost perfect every time. He was a technician and a beautiful skater. And then I was trying to be him. I didn't see anybody who was a world champion as somebody who ever made a mistake. And by trying to be perfect, like I was supposed to be as a world champion, I started skating safe. And skating safe and being careful is the kiss of death. You got to go for it. You got to feel your music. You got to throw your jumps and you got to go for it. And that was who I was. So I couldn't be Brian Orser. I couldn't pretend to be a world champion. I just had to skate. I just had to skate. So my advice to you with that pressure of being number one is to just remember that you worked hard to get there. Somebody's got to do it. It might as well be you, but stay yourself. Stay true to what made you ranked number one. All right, and try to keep some fun in it. Keep some fun in it. My daily routine around here, I'm a dad. I got 2 kids going on, so there's 3 meals. Cooking is daunting. Like, give me the world title attempt again. I'll do a backflip before I'll do pancakes. I hate cooking. It's so intimidating. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just like enjoying being a dad and trying to be a better one, trying to cook more. And I'm like neck deep in old photographs and trying to organize that part of my life. So that's my routine. And I'm doing a little bit of workout, but not in the last couple of weeks. Where I'm working, kind of falling off back. Denise Caroline, are you planning a new pro? And that's where it stops.
Okay, I'll scroll up. It looks like we've got a few that have come through.
Oh, okay. I might have spoke out of turn.
From Tina, what has helped you the most in getting through shelter in place? What has been the hardest part? Not sure.
You know what? It's kind of interesting because the hardest part is not knowing what to do. And in a way, I considered like maybe I would phone up a couple of places and see if chatting with them via virtual would make people happier, but it seemed like a real egotistical thing to do. I just did, like, literally not knowing how to participate. At 7:30 around here, everyone bangs on the pots, so we get out there and bang on the pots. But being able to chat to all of you helps me in a way. It gives me like some kind of a purpose. It makes me feel like that my skating has, given me a conduit to sort of give information and help. So CanFun, thank you very much for this. And I've been chatting with skating clubs around the place. It's actually getting kind of full. I'm actually almost busy doing it. So that's what I've been doing, is kind of dealing with a loss of purpose, and that must happen to a lot of us. So change your perspective and adapt.
From Kobe, we have, I am a male skater. I compete novice ice dance and train in Calgary. Your story over the years has helped me so much. As well as we all know, you are from the small town of Carolyn, and I'm from the town of Olds. Your journey is one of the reasons my skating is such a huge part of my life. It's great knowing there can be small town success. So again, another kind word coming through.
That's awesome. I'll just say that playing Olds in hockey you always knew you're up for a tough game when you played Olds in hockey. So it's nice to meet another figure skater from a small town in central Alberta. Keep it up.
We have from Effie. She just want to say a quick hello. She worked with you on at CBC Sports.
Oh, cool. I know that. Yeah, and as I scanning through the page, it was nice to see some faces that I knew.
From Janine, we have, how have you passed on your wisdom to your kids?
Well, my first child didn't really enjoy skating that much, and he made it clear that he didn't want to continue going to the rink. My second boy skated until he was about 11, and I told him that once he started doing double jumps, that it was his choice whether he wanted to do it or not. Because once you start jumping and turning in the air, I think you either catch the bug or you don't. I feel like I've misplaced my camera, haven't I? There we go. And so at the age of 11, he decided he didn't want to skate anymore because he was doing double jumps. He's like, no, I'm good. And so I think that I was awful at helping my son be a figure skater. I was typical parents should not coach their kids. It's really, really hard. Your emotions get in the way. And when I finally stepped back and let him be the boss, and I was just there more of as a dad who happened to have skates on instead of a dad who was trying to coach, things got a lot better. So it's interesting that I can help Patrick Chan, I can help Joni Rochette, but I shouldn't help my own son.
Denise would like to know, are you planning a new program for hopefully next year?
Yeah, I had a new program to the Tragically Hip. I realized that I had skated to the Tragically Hip in the past a couple different times, but both were specialty pieces that they had either written for me or had in the can and were never on an album. So I have a Tragically Hip song that's half choreographed when we got kicked off the ice. So I'm like, that'll be one of the fun things to get back. It's choreographed by Jessie Caron, who's not an ice skater, so a dancer. So it'll be more dance driven, which is always on the edge of my bubble of comfort. So it's always good to try to push your boundaries.
Elise is asking, what's your favorite jump or spin?
Axel, and ironically, it was the hardest one for me to learn. I had 2 triples before I got my double axel. I had a quad before I had triple axel. But when it finally clicked, it's axel, and because it's the only jump you really jump forward. So there's a moment, a split second of like, oh, before you start rotating. I'm very jealous of the ski aerialists that stay in the air for what seems like 8 seconds doing their things. I would like to be able to stay up in the air that long.
Cindy wants to know, what activities are you doing with your kids right now?
A lot of rollerblading. My son has Jackbox. You go online and put in Jackbox, and there's all sorts of fun games that we can play as a family. And we've been, they do homework. They're still at school every day from 8:40 until 3:30. So they're doing that. And but I see a lot of families on the streets now, walking dogs and holding hands and walking baby carriages, moms and dads together. Like the last couple of months, it's one of the cool things that I've noticed about this awfulness that's hitting the world, is that families are just cuddling together and doing things together. So there's that.
Jane would like you to tell us a little bit about hosting Battle of the Blades and working with Ron McLean.
Okay, cool. Ron McLean is an Alberta boy like me, and there's a reason why I'm checking oh, there it is. I just got the text. Anyways, Battle of the Blades, of course, just for you, if you don't know, it's where we take figure skaters and give them a hockey player to skate with. It could be a male figure skater or a female hockey player, it doesn't matter. And it's been on for 5 or 6 years in Canada. And it's so much fun to work with Ron because he is a genius, a quirky genius. And when he puts his figure skates on, or his hockey skates, he's a little boy. He's so excited to perform. And the hockey players are so motivating to me. I absolutely love the show. And they just announced that it's coming back in the fall. So Battle of the Blades is coming back, completely different format. Obviously, we won't have a live audience, so it'll be geared towards an audience, and it's so fun. I don't even know my role. I know that they've invited me back, but at least they just told me about, so I'm assuming. So I don't know if I'll be the judge again or what they want, but I'll find out later today. Battle of the Blades is back.
That's so exciting. Tina wants to know if you're also planning to continue the tour with Stars on Ice. Connie, I'm just going to put you on mute here.
I wonder if that's Tina.
No. There we go. Yeah, Tina was saying, are you planning to continue the tour with Stars on Ice?
I wonder if it's Tina Tyan. Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's interesting that each year I decide whether or not I'm going to skate, if my body at 53 is healthy enough. I was certainly really excited and physically ready for this Stars on Ice. But it got canceled, of course, so that's a whole year away. So I don't have an answer. I'll get back on the ice and see if my body and my heart are into it. Also, I got to get hired back, so who knows.
Looks like there's a few more left. Tracy would like to know, are you still going to be helping NAM choreographer?
Oh, cool. It's probably Tracy McLeod. I don't know. I think that Nam and I are good friends, and I'm a choreographer, but I'm on the fringe with Nam's work. So I come in and I motivate and I leave. Sometimes we get into it and my choreography gets more intricate into his work, but generally speaking, it's almost more of a stylist. So I hope that he keeps inviting me up to the rink every once in a while. I love hanging out with Nam. He's an awesome kid and very funny. He was in Stars and Ice and blew me away with his professionalism and his ability to connect to the audience. He was very prepared for this World Championships, and unfortunately, of course, it got canceled. So if I'm invited, I'll go hang out with Nam. You bet.
Yvonne says, Nola says hi. She's been watching and cheering you on for years. Kathy would like to know, what was your favorite amateur competition program?
I guess Casablanca, just because of the acting aspect of it, and I loved playing a cool character. It was so cool. I'm so glad I had just enough hair to pull it off back then. But wearing a white tuxedo and a black bow tie while you're competing, I remember the last time I competed in 1993 at the World Championships, and I would put that on and stand around, and I'm like, I'm a man among boys. You know, it was kind of like trying to give myself positive feedback. But that character from the movie Casablanca was so suave and so cool. Trying to emulate him was a lot of fun.
Madhu says, hello, thanks for sharing your experience.
I hope it helps somebody.
Denise wants to know how the family is doing, hoping everyone is healthy and well.
Must be Denise Benning, probably. Everyone's good, D, if it's Denise Benning.
What else do we got? From Janine, who was your favorite person to skate with?
Oh, come on, really? I have so many dear friends. It's hard. So I'll try to just go with skating. And I don't even know how to start. Choreographically, Sandra Bezic is unbelievable in that you get on the ice with her and you know you're going to be challenged, you know you're going to be frustrated at some point, and you know you're going to be better, and that something special is going to happen if you have the stick-to-itedness that you need. So being around Sandra is always wonderful. There's been so many great competitors over the years that have been fun to compete against, and I don't even know where I want to start. When I'm on the ice with Shaylin Bourne, I feel like I have my skates on the wrong feet. She's so good. But you know what? It's people like Nam Nguyen. Like when you get on the ice and you have somebody like Nam and Patrick and Eric Radford, like this last group that did so well in Pyeongchang, they were all so, Tess and Scott, they were all so very, very close to each other. Megan Duhamel, Caitlin Osmond, all these guys, and their energies together. I think that's what makes skating a lot of fun, especially in rehearsals when you have good friendships. Makes everything better, doesn't it?
Ethan, who's 11, wants to know if you're still practicing your backflips.
I actually haven't. I haven't been practicing it. Here's the thing. I don't really practice backflips. I only do it in shows. Because somehow I just can't psych myself up to do it. I didn't do it for 20 whole years, and then I started doing it again. And the last two, I had a sore right knee, and in Battle of the Blades, and I wasn't getting up and over as well as I wanted to. And my two sons hate when I do backflip. So I don't know. I don't know if I may have retired it last fall. We had a little family meeting, and they literally said, "Please don't do it anymore." I think a little spark in me said, maybe you're right. As soon as you have any doubt, I don't recommend doing backflip anymore. But that said.
From Kelly Fitzsimmons, she's a modern pentathlete and CanFund recipient. She says, thanks, Kurt. Go Alberta. What is your way of getting in the zone and staying focused when you are in a giant arena full of fans?
Pentathlete, amazing. Amazing. I knew a pentathlete that was always a pistol under her seat in her truck. It's kind of interesting. But horseback riding, running, swimming, the whole deal, that's awesome. It is that big audience. It is the TV lights, and it is the cameras, and it is my competitors. It's all those things that brings me focus, because I feel that that's the right place to be. When the skaters you're competing against are the best in the world, and and everyone's watching, and the TV has an interview, and the cameras are right in your face. I loved that. I loved that because it felt like this is the right place to do it. I'll be honest, when I competed at divisionals in really cold rinks with 30 or 40 people in the stands with kind of nothing on the line, I wasn't focused. I couldn't put a quad toe, double toe in that environment. But put me at the Worlds, and it usually worked for me. So I think that using the energy, I think that I heard somebody once talk about a wave, or maybe it was me, but it's a really good one. There's a wave of energy, especially from a home crowd, that comes. And you can either get swept under or over or away by the wave, or you can ride the wave. And I think that that's what I was good at. And it's probably why I love performing, is that getting out in front of people and feeling their energy and then giving it back and having this symbiotic relationship happen. And so that's what I suggest, is relish in it, enjoy it. And when you can't, then you have to rely on different tools, because, it's not for every athlete to reach out and get energy from the crowd before you compete. But I did. I liked to respond to somebody who yelled to me, and I liked feeling immersed out there. And that's what worked for me. I used big words there.
Trent would like to know when you first started to skate.
I got skates around 7 or 8. And that was only just like my dad put 2 pieces of plywood on the ground and sprayed them with a garden hose. And that's what I was skating on. Tried to play hockey, but the dog kept stealing my puck. So I spent most of my time chasing the dog around the farm with my skates on, trying to get the puck back. Then my hometown got a rink with a nice roof on it, which is now the Kurt Browning Arena, which is kind of weird. And then there was more ice time. And so I was about 8 when I joined hockey, and I was 10 when I got figure skates. They were white.
From Denise, she wants to know if Reggie will be making an appearance.
In this chat, no, Raggy he's sleeping. He's down. He's had a long night last night entertaining kids in China or something. I don't know what he was doing. He's always busy. Raggy is a friend of mine who is constantly wearing a red foam nose, doesn't talk much. He squeaks a lot, and he's a lot of fun, but he's not around today. Or is he? It's a tomato. Smells good too.
Desiree says, as we all are, I was cleaning and going through old boxes last week and found the Kleenex I used to wipe my tears after your performance at the 1994 Canadian Championships in Edmonton. I was 15, such a teenage thing to do and save. I remember crying like a baby because the performance Casablanca moved me so much. Such great memories. Thank you for all that you do.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Okay, no words, speechless. That's amazing.
Ethan would like to know, do you stay in touch?
Yeah, literally no.
Ethan's asking, do you stay in touch with the other professional skaters? If so, do you only talk skating?
Gets to a point where, a friendship goes past skating. And then you become friends, not skating friends. And I have so many wonderful skating friends. And of course, like most people, I've only got a few skating friends that are just friends that we really keep in touch with. And it's a handful of friends. And it's always a special moment when you start to realize that somebody has sort of merged over to just a friend and not a skating friend. I'm kind of from a different generation. I'm not really so Twittery, TikToky, Instagrammy, I'm not good at this stuff. So I don't stay in touch with as many as I could or should. But when we do it, it's awesome. And we do talk skating, unfortunately. We're geeky that way.
I think we've got one more here. Kobe would like to know, as an ice dancer, I haven't been keeping up my jumps, but now being a coach, I can do most of my doubles again. Any tips for double axel so that I can challenge my gold free skate? As you know, us ice dancers aren't exactly meant to fly.
You do fly, just lower. You know what, though? It's interesting. I was on a chat this morning with the Kingston Figure Skating Club, and we were talking about axel. And for those of you who don't know, it's really the one jump in figure skating that you leave the ice going forward. So of course you have to ride the rocker of the blade up with your body and your momentum across the ice. And you ride the rocker and then explode down in the knee and push up and jump forward. There's a toe pick at the end of that, which is kind of handy. Doing double axel in hockey skates, that's tricky. You can do it, but it's tricky. So you use that toe pick. What our instincts are is to start spinning as soon as we can and as hard as we can. And with the axle, if I'm going to give a tiny skating lesson, take a split second to leave the ice going straight and through, not around. Because anytime that anybody who wants the axle too much, you kind of end up throwing yourself off axis. So sometimes if I'm turning to the left and I'm throwing my right leg through, I tell the skaters to kick the soccer ball to 2 o'clock, not to noon, and especially not 10 o'clock. And that will help keep you straight. So kick the soccer ball to 2 o'clock and try and go up, then rotate. Oh yeah, cross your fingers.
Well, it looks like it's about it for questions. There's lots of kind words coming through, Kurt. I'm not sure if you could see them on your end.
I'll try to. Let's see. No, I'm not getting anything. I'll just trust you.
Okay. Well, Conrad says, you're awesome. Thanks so much for doing this and sharing your wisdom. Lila says she saw you on Stars on Ice last year in Edmonton and loved it. Thank you. Janine wants to know if you mind if fans come up to you and say hi. And Denise is saying thank you for your time.
I never mind fans coming up and say hi. I meet so many fun people. I get to put gas in my car and talk about Battle of the Blades with a complete stranger. It's really a neat part of being who I am. And I do enjoy it. Nowadays, I'm enjoying it from 6.2 feet away, but I still am enjoying it. And I've enjoyed all of you guys. And I'm going to flip my screen a little bit and see some more happy faces. Everyone give me a smile and a wave. Kobe, look up. I want to see your face. There you are. Looking good, dude. And thank you very much for hanging out with me. Kira, everybody. Breyer? Neat name. So thank you very much for coming and joining. I hope I wasn't too heavy off the top with my little sad story, but I think that it's important to learn how to use your past failures to create future successes. And I also think that it's not healthy to linger with your past successes too long either. Just keep using it to launch forward, always moving forward.